Matt.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Well, the dream is once again a reality. Speedway returns to Perry Bar alongside the Big Red Bee. And what a crowd, the biggest I have seen since 2007. But has the dream already turned into a nightmare after what can only be described as a hammering by the superior forces of the green and white? Well, no, not yet at any rate. Now is the time to keep the faith. One match does not a season make, and whilst we may have to adjust our ambitions for this season, I saw enough from several riders last night to suggest that the future may be rosy if we just give them time and patience. But was last night the most important match of the Brummie's life? Well, yes and no. I shall explain what I mean later in this show. And should Cradley be crowing and celebrating today? Well, of course they should. We would if it was us, if it was the other way around. But it is my opinion that last night could be just as bad a result for Cradley as it was for the Brummies. I will once again explain later when we introduce our newest presenter to the show. A presenter that proudly wears the green and white and will no doubt have a different perspective to mine. So a big welcome to Paul Tromans. And it's interesting though, isn't it? Two teams built to the same rules, to the same team building average, and yet on a track that has no home advantage for either side, a result is produced that has one side winning by over 30 points. As they say, only in Speedway. All this and rider interviews after last night's match. Well, good evening everybody, and I feel a bit like after the Lord Mayor's show today. We have in the studio today, we have Webby.
Good evening.
We have got Matt.
Good evening.
Joseph is still recovering from a shock. That was the match yesterday.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you'd done something to him.
He's never experienced that before. He's never ridden against Cradley before. I still rode 30 years ago, similar result, but hey ho. Okay. And a bit later we'll be introducing people to our new presenter, Paul Tromans, presenting the green and white side of things. So there you go. Before we get started, would you like to describe to the viewers what I've got in my hand at the moment?
Ooh! I don't think I'm allowed to, am I? The webcam's on, you know.
Is that right?
I'd put it away quickly.
Yeah.
You've actually got a shirt that's been signed by all the riders and I believe the management.
Yeah, all the riders and the team manager from last night's match from both teams. Bit of history.
Fantastic.
And we're going to auction that off. Probably plans are to auction it off next Thursday live on the show. We have an idea of how much it's worth, so if we don't reach that, we'll shove it on eBay, I think.
Yeah.
But a bit of history. We've got all the riders on there, and if all things go to plan, we might well have a guest on the show next week to help us with that, but I'm not going to say any more about that until that's been confirmed. So there you go.
Dingle needs to explain what he means by "you sound like you are tapping your watch at us."
Tapping my watch
at us, yeah.
Is this a euphemism?
That was during your introduction. I'm not quite sure, so that's why I've put.
Okay. I haven't got a watch, so.
Pointless you having a watch, isn't
it? I can't tell the time, yeah. In a minute we're going to have a chat with Matt about all things Wolverhampton, because you had your press and practice, I believe, on Monday, was it?
Well, it was supposed to be, but
okay.
Off. So, good start to the season.
Started you mean to go on. But we've also got our first live match of the season going on at the moment, and it's got a sort of a Birmingham bent to it, if you like, because it's Billy Sanders Memorial. Of course, Billy tragic that the way he died and so on. He rode for Birmingham for about half a season, I think it was.
1979,
I think it was, yeah. So they've got the memorial meeting, and there's a few sort of ex-Brummies spattered about in that. Danny King, of course. Ben Barker's riding. Nico Cavati's riding. And Adam Ellis, our current number one, is riding. So we'll keep you up to date with that. It's currently gone as far as Heat 1, when Ben Barker came last, beaten by Pierre Tungate and Nielsen. And the second heat has been stopped because of an accident, and Richie Hawkins, unfortunately, ambulance has been called onto the track for him. But we'll keep you up to date with that. So, okay, Wolverhampton press and practice, how did it go? What are your thoughts on the team?
I'll say probably the best word is apprehensive, really, for Wolves this season.
I tell you what, I know how you feel.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of scepticism about the team that's been put together. Of course, there's two practice sessions at Wolves. The Monday one was the public one, and the Tuesday on was the private one. And the private one went ahead, but the public one, of course, was stopped because of the rain. Then on Tuesday night, everybody moved en masse to the Cleveland Arms in Wolverhampton for the pre-season talking.
Okay.
The riders and the management, and of course I've handed you a sort of summary of some of the things that were said.
Yeah.
First of all, of course, the riders were introduced. Thomas Mueslig, that's how I'm going to pronounce it anyway.
Thomas Muesli.
Well, he's a Polish rider who
He's
rides...
not Swiss, is he?
Polish. Polish. Rides for Lejno. He's actually the Lejno captain this season, even though he's only 22. He's being helped in the early weeks by a former Brummie and former Wolf, of course, Adam Skornicki, who was key to persuading him to join the club. He said that he felt comfortable on the track, although he doesn't have a lot of experience on the smaller tracks like Monmouth Green. I have to say as well, I was very impressed with his English. He speaks very good English for a young age.
Okay.
Adam Skornicki says he speaks better English than he did when he started over here 14, 15 years ago.
Probably just still does.
His hair isn't as long though. Lewis Blackbird, who's the first of the draft riders, said that Monmouth Green is his favourite track, and he's delighted to join the club.
Somebody likes Monmouth Green.
I think that's a good way of buttering up the promoter anyway. So, of course, he ended last season on the injury list when he was at Eastbourne with a broken leg, and he acknowledged that there are concerns about that, but he said he has practiced and the leg feels good after the winter break.
Okay.
Peter Carlson, of course, the evergreen Peter Carlson, returns to the club at the ripe old age of 45.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Says he still enjoys competition, racing, and said he'll carry on as long as he continues to enjoy it, which prompted the watching Samuel Malenko to suggest that Peter's only going to ride until he breaks all of his club records.
He's got a chance.
Which is one I'll touch on a little bit later on.
Okay.
He's confident he's going to bounce back after by his own admission, a difficult season last year with Lakeside, and then on his return to Wolves. Also returning, of course, is the new number one, Freddie Lindgren. Said he had no regrets over missing the Elite League last season, as he felt it helped him to recharge his batteries.
Was that a surprise for everybody for him to be returning?
I suspect if he'd been in the Grand Prix still, he wouldn't have come back, to be honest. But he said he was keen to come back, and of course Wolverhampton was his favoured destination due to his links with the club before. Says he doesn't know a lot about the 2015 side, but he says he feels it's got a good blend of youth and experience. Did actually have a motocross accident a few weeks ago.
Or is it with Speedway riders and motocross?
Did some rib injuries, but he says he's okay for the start of the season. Ricky Wells said it was one of those things when he asked about losing his place midway through the 2014 season, but he wants to prove people wrong this year, and said he's happy with his schedule with Wolves and with Workington, who he's going to be riding for in the Premier League. Josh Bates is the second draft rider. Wouldn't have been my choice. My choice personally would have been Paul Stark, because Wolves had the option to sign Paul. Of course, he's got a lot of experience at Monmouth Green, having ridden there for Cradley. But Josh said it's a dream come true to join Wolverhampton. Admits he struggled on the track in the past, but winning the British Under-21 title on the track last season has boosted his confidence.
As it would.
And says he's looking forward to learning from the likes of Freddie and PK. Jakob Torsello, who of course won the Rider of the Year award last season, says he's looking to build on the progress he made. He's doing the 2 leagues in Sweden, 1 in Poland and the UK, but not riding in the Under-21 World Championship because he's now too old to do it, so he says that should ease some of his schedule. Seems like all the rides have blended quite well, so that's got to be a positive
But
thing.
you said at the top of this, apprehension. Why are you apprehensive?
I just think it's maybe a little bit weak in the middle order. Freddie Lindgren's obviously come back. I think if Freddie maintains his average that he starts with, I think he'll do well. I don't think he'll increase it. In fact, I'd be very, very surprised if he increases
Well,
his
it's
average.
going to be tough, isn't it, since last time he came, because he doesn't get rides against reserves and so on.
Well, that's right, and let's not forget as well, the last 3 seasons of Wolves, even though the standard of the league was dropping, his average was also dropping, so it's that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Peter Carlson, I think, was the big surprise, because I think all the noises that were coming out of the club in November suggested that PK wasn't being considered for a team place because he'd had such a poor end to the season. But I think circumstances with other riders that the club were looking at not being available meant that PK was given the nod for coming back.
Do you feel it's a bit of a sort of cobbled together side? That's what's sort of coming.
It
back
does,
from
yeah. It does feel like that, to be honest. It's mainly club assets that are in the side. I think the bottom end looks okay. I think Lewis Blackbird and Josh Bates, I think, will be a good draft pairing. I think they're one of the stronger ones. Although, as I've said, I would have preferred Paul Stark to Josh Bates, if I'm
It's going to be a big year
being
for Paul
honest.
Stark, isn't it?
That's right. So then we had a break, and then after that, Chris Van Straten and Peter Adams took the microphone to answer questions. Chris Van Straten said he's quietly confident about the team put together in 2015, although of course he's not going to say he's got no confidence in the team at all, is there? So a number of riders
Probably not.
said a number of riders were considered for the heat leader spots, and admits that he did have concerns about re-signing Peter Carlson, but he was won over by his enthusiasm and the fitness work that he's done in the winter. Plus, as well, he also, when they had a meal out in Sweden in January, and Peter paid for it, so I think that probably swung it as well. Also said he's pleased to see the old silencers return, because a lot of the riders have complained that the ones used in recent years are dangerous in wet conditions. Read into that what you may.
Yeah.
He says the entertainment at Monmore Green and winning remain his priorities as a promoter, and he also criticised, in his own words, rip-off merchants who prepare rough tracks with potholes. But when pressed for names, he wouldn't give any.
Who do you think he's talking about? Come on, put your money where your mouth is.
I think there's a few you could mention, aren't there, really? So, one or two that we saw on Sky last season, I think. Lassie Bier, of course, was in the team at the end of last season, and Chris said he was considered, but he didn't feel he was right for the role that he would have been needed for in the team. Also, he's not a club asset, so he wouldn't have had the priority in the event of the clash with his Premier League club, which of course is Ipswich. He said also that he wishes he could record some of the AGMs because they invariably end up going round in circles. Said the Olympic meeting stage next week won't be a handicap event because he and Peter Adams want to see how the riders fare in crowded first corners because they haven't yet finalised the lineup of the team. But the traditional Olympic that staged in October will revert to the traditional handicap format. Peter Adams is determined that the club will bounce back from poor 2014 season. When asked about Ty Woofenden, he said that Ty told him in September 2013 that he didn't wish to come back to the UK last season, but that he called his bluff, and admits that the club were wrong to pressurise him into riding last season because his average suffered, and also, as did the club with an underperforming number one. He's still working with Ty in the GPs and did hint that he may be back sooner than people think.
Okay. Interesting.
He said that both Ty and Piotr Pawlicki are both still in the club's plans, but they'll only be brought back if they are 100% committed to the club. Said the levels of fitness of the modern riders is far greater than any other time he can remember. Pleased as well to see the points system amended so that the home team takes all the points from a meeting victory, and I've got to say I'm pleased with that as well.
We have a disagreement here because I think with the nature of Speedway and the way that tracks are prepared, and you got home advantage more so in this sport than any other sport. I think it's a good idea to reward the away team for keeping it close.
Well, I can see where you're coming from, Joe, but
But you don't agree.
I know, at the same time, I think when you fight. I know. I think at the same time when you're leading a meeting all the way through, and then at the end of the meeting, the away team rallies and manages to get a point, even though you've won the meeting. Sometimes you're coming away feeling like you've lost something as well. But there's still something in there for the away teams to go for as well. He revealed that the rider grading system that was discussed at the AGM, which he'd suggested the previous November, and it does remain an option in future Elite League campaigns, but says there's not enough riders around to make it effective at the moment. He confirmed Peter Carlson will ride at number 4 and Lewis Blackbird at number 6, but the rest of the lineup still undecided. And just a final one, Adam Skornicki confirmed he's going to help Thomas Muselek in the early weeks of the season. Won't ride in 2015 as he's team manager at Lesno this season, but he does intend to make a comeback in 2016, and says that he's close to regaining full fitness after his injury while riding for the Brumbies last season.
He was one of the few successes, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Last year. Less said about last year. Although we might start looking back on it fondly after last night. Yes. Who knows? Well, I suppose now would be a good time. Thank you very much for that, by the way.
No worries.
Who's your first match against, by the way?
Well, the first match is the Olympic on Monday, and the first league match is a week on Friday when we make the trip over to Coventry, with the return match the following Monday.
Tasty.
Nice start of the season.
Well, we're just getting in touch with our new presenter now, Paul, I forgot his second name. Tromans, was that?
I think so, yeah.
Yep. Okay,
Hello, Paul, you there?
Hello.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Not too bad, mate. Not too
Right.
bad. Surprised at the result last night, I must admit.
You're not as surprised as I was. I tell you what, I don't want to do it. We've got to do it all again next week. I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, you're away next week as well.
Yeah, I know. It's, so, okay, from your perspective, what did you think? Obviously, you must be pretty pleased with the form of your guys.
Of course, from your perspective, the big letdown here was Adam Ellis.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he'll have another meeting all season where he'll only score 3 points at Perry Bar.
Let's hope not.
You know,
I think he was a bit unlucky in some cases. I mean, he obviously had the engine failure, but also that one when he had the black and white helmet on, I think that should have been called back. To be honest.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Well,
isn't it, really?
but where I stand, I could because I actually worked the flag on the first corner, and I forget about what happened on the actual corner. It should have been called back before that because they was just arguing. I mean, he nearly ended up on the grass coming from the gate out to the first corner. It should have been. I'm not blaming anybody for that because those bikes are powerful things and they can go anywhere they please once you put that power on. But it really should have been called back before.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I was thinking was Adam just trying different setups. You know, I think he scored 7 at Peterborough, was it, the weekend?
Yeah.
And then only scored 3 last night. You know, I couldn't get my head around that.
No.
I mean, outside of that, I mean, I think you didn't do too bad, you know. I mean, Tom Perry was Tom Perry. You know, he's going to be good for 10, 12 every home meeting, sometimes a maximum.
Thank God he was there
Zach,
last night.
Zach, I'm not going to attempt his surname. You know, I think
Zach
I think Zach
Wojtek.
showed promise.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. He's got a tidy little style, hasn't he?
Yeah. Adam Kirby scored his average. I've seen Adam a few times. I think he's his own biggest enemy, you know. He has lots of machine problems.
Yeah.
Whether he can sort that out, I don't know. But, I mean, he's good for 4, you know, for meetings. Who else was? Alex, I think he improved as the meeting went on.
Yeah.
Sam Chapman, I think he rode well for his first meeting. And then you come to Harvey Banks.
Yeah, we didn't catch any of that, which about Harvey Banks. It all went funny. Try again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised when Birmingham signed it. You know, I don't know a lot about him. He had a few meetings for Plymouth at the back end of last year. He scored 4, I think, from 5 rides against. I forget who it was against. I think it was Kent.
Right.
You know, I think he might struggle a little bit to start with.
He did certainly seem off the pace. Would you agree with me that I've heard a lot of people say that basically Cradley outgated us? I actually don't think it was that so much. I think a lot of the times we were leaving the gates at the same point, but you get to the first corner and it was almost like men against boys.
Well, I think that'll be so. You know, I think it's, how can I say, lack of experience. I think for a lot of your riders, and I think in about 6 weeks' time, you know, I think you'll see a completely different front team to what you saw last night.
I certainly hope so.
Well, it can't be any worse.
It reminded me. I don't know whether you was there for the last time these two teams met in 1980 something or 82, was it, something like that? And which was our very last match at the old One Stop.
Yeah.
And it was almost, it was like watching it all over again. You guys spoilt our last day party then. It was something like 30 points difference, and it was just like watching that again. I was like deja vu for me.
Yeah. I mean, going to my team, you know, the Heathens, I mean, where can we improve? You know, I mean, we can only go down from last night, can't we?
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to. It brings up an interesting point, I think, which I mentioned it on my sort of running.
I heard you say,
is that
yeah.
I think, in some ways,
I know what you're
it's a bad result for Cradley because Cradley to have a strong Birmingham team would be absolute. You know, both of them go nip and tuck against each other for the championship. And I think it would be great for the two teams and great for the sport of Speedway. And if you're going to be winning by 30 points, it's going to be a bit boring, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you now. I mean, I live down in Bournemouth, yeah?
Right.
Now, if we've got someone, just presume we're top of the league, and whoever's bottom, you know, comes to ride at Birmingham, I've got a 350-mile round trip.
Sure.
Now, I'm going to have to think twice about doing that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But, well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything that you said, that in 6 weeks it could be a different team. To be fair, I did see promise. I mean, as just mentioned, Zach Voitinich. I think and that was his very first Speedway match. You've got to remember that the guy's only 16. I call him a guy. He's a boy. He's the same age as my son, so you know that says it all. It was his very first Speedway match. I think, you know, well, we've got to be patient, I guess.
What's the big thing is how long is Graham going to give him?
Well, I know what you mean, because he's got this sort of reputation as being the Axeman, but he has managed National League before.
He managed Mildenhall.
Yeah, and you know, he had the reputation at Mildenhall of bringing riders on, so, you know, let's hope that we'll see a bit more of that.
You can't afford to have a full team, can you?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the bottom line. After everything that's happened, we need people coming through the gates. Yeah. And it was disappointing to hear that. I understand it, however, but it was still disappointing to hear that people wearing red and yellow sort of left some of them after about heat 10 or 11. And while I can understand it, because, you know, it was all one-way traffic, it's still disappointing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said earlier, it's going to affect Cradley support, isn't it?
Of course it is.
We had a season last year, you know, 60s nearly every meeting. Now I know for a fact people stayed playing, you know, and chose what meeting they went to.
Yeah. Well, of course, you would do. And I guess, I mean, you knew you was going to win the league last year from about halfway through, I would think. Unless, you know, obviously, unless injuries, you know, injuries is always the big sort of leveller. But it also begs the question, doesn't it? I mean, you know, we've built a team to the same average as you guys have, with riders that people have, you know, I mean, I know very little about the National League, but with riders that people seem to think, you know, these are good signings, and yet 36 points the difference. This is something that Speedway's got to address, isn't it?
How can you address it? You know, on paper, they were both built to 36 points.
Yeah.
Okay, they were built in a slightly different way. As you know, you went for a top-heavy team.
Yeah.
Which was a spearhead of two of Adam and Tom.
Sure.
Adam had a bad night, and you cannot afford. Well, even Crazy can't afford to do that. You know.
No.
I mean, we haven't got the. Well, we thought we hadn't got the in-depth that we had last year, but it seems that we have. You know.
Well.
I mean, Michael Neal. Did you expect him to score 9 last night? I didn't.
No, not at all. No.
You know, Aaron Mogridge. 7 paid 11.
I got to be honest, I was impressed with Mogridge. I thought he reminded so much of his old man.
In particular, Ellis Perks as well.
Yeah. Well, Ellis Perks. I think we all knew Ellis Perks was going to be the best reserve on the show by a long way, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, he proved that. I mean, he's 3 points. You've got to be joking, haven't you, really?
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean about this is something that surely Speedway's got to address about when you assess averages and so on, how they go about that. I mean, you know, it's a difficult one, but it does need to be sorted out. You know, if you want to,
That's a difficult one.
It is a difficult one, yeah, and I haven't got an answer, so here's me saying it's going to be sorted out. But
they've gone some way to doing it, because it used to be 6 points, 6 meetings before you got a proper average. They've now, I mean, with a small National League last year, that was a joke. They've now brought it down to 4 meetings before you get an average, which is still better. You can't really bring it down any more than that, can you?
Well, I suppose not, but it's just the starting averages need to be looked at. There needs to be some way of assessing riders rather than just saying, well, you're all three.
Well, I think the big problem is because Ellis is, let's be honest, from Australia. You know, it's very difficult to assess unless you say all Australians are going to fire. Or I think.
Well, you can't call him an Australian in the National League, of course, can you? I mean, that would then be against the rules. So.
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah. I mean, he lives in Australia.
But experience perhaps should be somehow catered for within averages. I don't know.
Well, it's unfair, isn't it? When you've got, we'll just say, Ellis Perks. That does Speedway no good at all. Probably win by half a lap.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and no one wants to see that.
No, we all want to see good races, sure.
So, I mean, I think if you get a guy come from, we'll just say Australia, New Zealand, wherever, I think they've got to start on a 5 average.
Right.
Okay, they've got a British passport, but they've got far more experience than our 3-point rider.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think experience needs to be taken into account.
I mean, I can remember when young Morris came over, same thing a few years back. He came over on a 3-point average. Rob Bramford came on a 3-point average.
Did Ty Woffington not come out? Didn't Ty Woffington come over on a 3-point average?
Same thing. You know, it's a joke.
Yeah.
And that's what needs tightening up more than anything to get a level playing field.
Yeah.
I mean, if we'd have had another, how should we say, if we'd have had another one similar standard to Luke Harris in place of Ellis Perks, that would have made that one would make a lot of difference to how strong our team is.
Yeah.
Hell of a difference.
Absolutely, but it is what it is, as they say.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to get your sort of, because I'll confess, and I'm ashamed to say it really, I don't know a great deal about the National League. I imagine by the end of this season I'll have put that right, and it needs to be put right. But so, if I go over all the different teams, will you sort of give me an idea of where you think they are as far as the team building is concerned? So we start off with Buxton.
I'm afraid to say Buxton have got to be near bottom 2, bottom 3.
You mean there's somebody there we're going to beat? Fantastic. Hey!
well, I picked 3. Yeah, you've heard of the British Speedway Forum.
Yeah.
I picked 3 teams to win the league, not out of 3 teams that might win the league. My teams were Cradley. Okay. Milden Hall.
Okay.
And Brum.
Do you think you might change your mind on that one now?
No. You know yourself you're going to improve on last night.
I mean,
you just head on. But anyway, carry on with the team.
Okay, we've got Coventry, of course.
Coventry, I think they're going to be nearer the bottom than the top. They're not so strong as what they've been for the last... Well, same applies to everyone.
Yeah.
I know Lawrence Rogers personally, the team manager.
Yeah.
I think he could have done it a little bit better.
I mean, I guess the difference between with Coventry and some of the other teams is that they're all about bringing riders on for assets into the Elite League rather than competing as in the National League as such, aren't they? So, I mean, there's a different sort of a dynamic with that. Eastbourne is an interesting one, I think.
Eastbourne, they're a difficult one to assess.
Yeah.
Now, you've got David Mason. I think he's their captain.
Yeah.
He's purely and simply a home rider. You know, I mean, he comes from, he was riding for Kent last year, a very small track and very similar to Monmore. He came to Monmore and he's finishing way, way behind, you know, lucky to get 3 points. So he's going to do nothing away from home. Then they signed Danny Warwick. who had a season out last year. He arrived for the Isle of Wight. Now, the Isle of Wight was a great big
Massive
open
track.
throttle
Yeah.
track. He's gone to Eastbourne, which is completely the opposite.
Yeah.
But again, Danny was a home track rider for the most part for Isle of Wight, so he's not going to do it away. So straight away, 2 of your 3 heat leaders are not going to do much away. So Eastbourne, they might scrape, well, I didn't say playoffs, they might scrape into the Gold Cup. Might.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the big thing about Eastbourne, of course, is their home track advantage.
Yeah.
It's massive, and not a lot you can say about that, is there? It is what it is again. Kent.
Kent, I think, have got quite a good team.
I actually agree
They've got
with you.
Ben Morley, who I think he'll get a 10-point average if he hasn't already got that. And they've got strength all the way down. Not such a crazy strength, but I think that they could well come around about, again, I think it could be between Eastbourne and them for maybe the 4th spot.
Okay. And I think it'd be quite nice for them to do well as well. I mean, they're a fairly new team, aren't they?
Kent's got a fantastic setup. I mean, I've been down there. They've got a fantastic stadium down there. The track lets them down a little bit. I would say it's similar to Buxton, but if you've probably never been to Buxton, which you must go, by the way. Brilliant day out up there.
Okay. I'm looking forward.
Take 3 layers of clothes with you.
Yeah, somebody's told me that. Yeah, I mean, we're there in August, but I've been told not to not to take any notice of that.
Yeah, I think Kent, they'll be close on.
And I'm hoping to go to quite a few tracks this year because I haven't been to a lot of these National League tracks. That'll be fun.
Which are the tracks that you haven't been to?
Well, Buxton I've never been to.
Right.
Kent. Oh gosh, that's about it really.
So you got from low, so you're lying.
Yeah, I was right, like yeah, because Mildenhall, we raced against them in their Premier League days. I like the Mildenhall track. I know it's small, but I actually like it. So, obviously Mildenhall have been your big rivals over the past few years.
They won't be far away. As I said, I've got them in my top 3. They're led by Danny Halsey. Again, it's going to be 10 or 11. But they've got 2 good young prospects there. Jack Kingston, he's on a 4.9 average. Now, if Jack can steady down, he's a really good prospect. He's a bit like young Garrity. He can be wild at times. But I'm expecting him to push up to close on an 8 average this year.
Okay.
And then you've got Connor Coles. He broke his leg at the back end of last year, but prior to him breaking his leg, I think he scored 8 and 9 or 10, I think, up at Monmouth.
Right.
And for an away rider to do that, it's got to be some rider. And I think he's only about 20. Maybe I'll do me some lose. I'm expecting Connor to get 7 or 8 average.
Okay.
So you can see why I quite rate Mildenhall.
Okay. Stoke, who we're going to next Friday, I believe, on Good Friday. So, I shall definitely be there.
They're a difficult team to assess, aren't they? Because they always seem to get bad luck. They all, no matter what. They're led by the old pal John Armstrong.
Yep.
Been around longer than
he rode.
I'm 62 coming.
Well, he rode for us in 2007, so yeah.
I think Stoke, a lot of people quite fancy them to go in the top 4. They won't be far away, but depends on injuries, Well, and they've got Ben Offwood as their other heat leader, well, one of their other heat leaders. Ben's going to be 8, 9 average guy.
Okay.
But mid-table for Stoke, I'm afraid.
That's probably a success for them, right?
Recent. They've had a couple of really bad years, I mean, at one time it looked like they might go to the wall, which no one wants to see.
And then, of course,
there's
Cradley.
The best thing that could happen to Stoke, and I'm going to be a bit controversial here.
You go for it. You go for it.
Would be if Dave Tatum left.
Do you know what? I was talking to somebody about, I can't repeat on air what they said, but somebody that actually used to work at Stoke, and I can't repeat what was said, but they would agree with what you've just said.
Yeah. I think if he's there, they're never going to get any better than what they are, which is unfortunate.
And, of course, Cradley.
Just for the top, obviously. I can't say no more. You've missed the team out, though, haven't you?
I'll come into that. Don't worry. I haven't. We always leave the best to last here. Yeah.
Cradley will win the league as long as they don't get any injuries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul, we've just had a comment to say that you know your stuff.
Who said that?
Sorry?
On the forum, somebody just said you know your stuff. There you go.
They don't know me. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Thanks to whoever it is.
All right, and now be careful. Birmingham.
Top three.
You're still going with that?
I do not change my. I haven't changed mine from last night.
Okay.
I can possibly see Graham changing the bottom end if things don't sort out within a month. I really mean that because you've got to get a successful team.
I think
now,
you're
it's
right.
already well saying you support young riders, and that's what the National League's about. I agree. But if you're going to get hammered every week,
No, we can't afford that.
you're not to be here next year, are you?
No, you're absolutely right. And our sort of statement of intent at the beginning of the year by Tony Mole is that we want to be moving up to higher leagues. And to do that, we need to be bringing. I mean, last night's crowd was fantastic, wasn't it? It was a massive crowd.
Tony said he wants to beat Cradley.
Yeah, he has said that.
You know?
Yeah, and I want to beat Cradley. I'm just not holding my breath for it after last night.
I mean, if you just put 10 points on Adam Ellis's score, you've got 37.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'll be honest. If we got 40 points next week, I would consider that a victory of sorts.
Yeah. I mean, we all want to see competitive racing, don't we? I want Cradley to win the same as you want Brom to win.
Of course.
We want to see good racing.
Exactly right. Want to be entertained.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we don't want to see Paul leading. We don't want to see guys a lap behind. You know, we don't want to see riders getting hurt. But, you know, we want to be entertained at the end of the day, as you say.
Okay. Good stuff. Well, it's really weird, isn't it? We've got the Cradley supporter here being far more positive about my team than I can muster at the moment. But I will get it. I have to tell you all, I'm actually sitting here with my Brummies hat on.
Yeah.
So you know, I haven't given up the fight, and you know, I did see. I saw some signs last night of, you know, positivity and things. But I have to disagree with you with one thing. I think if he makes some changes, I think it's much more likely to be in the middle order rather than the lower end. Yeah, I think so.
There's only one rider out there, you know that. We all know who you're on about.
Yeah, okay.
You know, Brendan Johnson.
Yes, yeah.
You know, Brendan's flat deceived now for about 3 years. He won the under-18s at Somerset probably 3 years ago against the class field. You've got the Worrells in there, you've got Garrity in there, you've got our guys in there, Ashley Morris, Tom Perry, and Brendan won that. Since then, you know, that's all I can say. You know, he's a 6-point rider.
I'm thinking more of the fact that one of our things is about getting assets.
Yeah.
Because that's what's held us back so much in the past, is not having assets. And of course, you know, those riders at the bottom are going to become assets.
Yes, but surely you want an asset that's going to be worth something in years to come.
Well, I would argue that particularly Voitinic.
In the National League, you want an asset that's going to be a decent rider in the PL.
Yeah, but I would argue that Voitinic, it will probably become that. I think he's got a very tidy style. He's only 16. I think he's got there's something about him. He didn't give up last night either.
That Wojciech will make the grade.
Yeah. So
I was referring to Brendan Johnson, to be honest. If you wanted to sign him as an asset, he's never any better than a National League rider.
No. I don't think that would be a way to go. I agree with you. Yeah. Right.
Rye House.
Oh, Rye House. Yeah, I missed Rye House. Why did I miss Rye House? I can't think for the.
Was that deliberate?
No.
I'm not going to say it again. Waffling on.
Yeah. Oh, you waffle. Well, anyway, Paul, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you on the show, and feel free to hang around. By the way, we're not getting rid of you. We're not trying to get rid of you.
Just put in.
Feel free to hang around.
I've enjoyed it, and I'll be putting the word around after tonight. I'm not going to say too much because we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. No, and I mean, you're in Bournemouth. You said so. I was going to offer you to come into the studio, but that's a long taxi ride.
It's a long taxi ride.
Yeah.
riding on Thursday night, I'll be up there, no problem.
Yeah. I don't know whether you heard earlier, but one of the things that we did last night is we got all the riders to sign a T-shirt. It's got the emblem of the Brummies on and the emblem of Cradley on, and all the riders and the team managers signed it. And we're actually going to auction that off on air hopefully next Thursday for the Ben Fund. So, I mean, if you can get any people interested coming onto the programme for that, that would be fantastic.
Mm.
I'll do my best. I'll get on the Cradley Facebook page.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Well done. Well
Cool.
done.
Right, we're just going to play some music, and then we're going to have a little chat about friend of the show, Darcy Ward. Welcome once again to the Speedway Tavern. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, please let everybody know. We're here every Thursday. Obviously, next week is the away leg for us and the home leg for you in the soundtrack. How weird is that? It's going to be really weird watching our guys go around Perry Bar with black and white helmet and black and yellow helmet, I should say.
Well, it's black and white, surely.
But it'll be. Let's hope we can win the away leg. That would be good.
Yeah,
I live in hope. So I thought we'd change tack a little bit now and have a little chat about Mr. Darcy Ward.
Okay.
I mean, apart from the fact that he's a silly person,
So.
some of the things he's done, and he really needs to grow up and learn his lesson. I mean, he's a great, fantastic speedway rider, nobody can deny that, but some of the things that he's got up to, and also, I've got to be honest, the way Neil Middleditch has spoke on social media and so on leaves a bit to be desired. I still feel a bit sorry for him at the moment, given the way that he's been treated by the FIM.
I think this is the thing. I think the FIM have handled it very, very poorly. And to be fair to Darcy, it's really putting him in a position where people have got sympathy for him when he doesn't really deserve it. Because this isn't an isolated incident with Darcy, is it?
Of course not. No.
This is, you had the rape charge that was hanging over him a while ago. You had,
and he didn't. I mean, I know he was cleared from that, but he didn't come out of it. Well, did he?
You had the story about him riding his bike unlicensed in Australia. I think he had an incident when he ended up in hospital after someone beat him up and put down in Paul last season, and now this. If he wants to be world champion, which he's definitely got the ability to do so,
in spades,
he I think he needs one of these riders that needs to learn that he needs to be
He's
in bed at 10:30 with the bottle, not messing about out on the streets.
I mean, he has said, hasn't he, that one of the riders he looks up to is Hancock. And perhaps he needs to take a leaf out of his handbook.
I've got to be honest, I don't think Darcy Wood will win the World Championship now. I think there's too much water going under the bridge, and I think he's going to find it hard to get back into the series. I think he's going to have to work to get back in, because I don't think he's going to get he's not going to get an automatic pick.
Is he going to find it hard to get back into a British team? Will he want to come back to a British team? I don't know. Well, come on, Paul, you've obviously got something to say. Come on.
And I think the difficulty there. You watch it, you watch it. Don't forget, most of these Dutch riders are coming to the end of their careers now.
Really, I only sort of caught the last bit of that, so if you want to try again.
Yeah, go on, you carry on, I'll just listen in.
So, yeah, well, but I mean, like you, I do feel sorry for him about the fact that the FR, incredibly badly the way that it's been handled, the whole thing. Just the time it's taken, apart from anything else, and saying, "Oh, we'll let you know by next week," and then it's been like a month away. And how many times did they postpone the meeting as well?
About 3 or 4 times, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's and not been great for Paul either.
Having said that, I don't think his team manager at Paul's done him any favours with some of the
absolutely not.
He's made on social media.
Very, very naive, and not what you would expect from a team manager, a supposedly top team manager. So there you go. Well, so I think
we have got a couple of interviews as well.
Yes, we've got some interviews now. So I think we'll go to those. And Paul, are you going to be at the match next week?
I shall be up there next week. Yep, no problem. Weather permitting. I mean, what I do have to do, because I'm down here, I can be pretty well sure, the weather's going to be sound, because driving 175 mile for a home meeting to get rained off doesn't appeal.
Yeah, what a surprise! What a surprise! If we get the chance and you're there, we'll have to see if we can give you one of our machines and see if you can get some rider interviews from the Cradley side, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. I look forward to it. That'll be great.
Okay.
Because I mean, they're all pretty sound kids. It's not
they are. Yeah, I mean, they were great. They were great signing the T-shirt last night, and no problem at all. But anyway, so obviously we've got Birmingham Speed riders from last night, but it would be nice to sort of get the opposite way around next week. But we'll see. So anyway, this was Adam Ellis after the match, and obviously disappointed.
Adam Ellis, Birmingham #1.
How do you think the team morale is going to be after tonight's match?
It's probably not the best, not the start we wanted to get off to, but it's just one of those things, it's a challenge meeting. A lot of the boys are new to it, and me and Tom were expected to put our own weight, and we didn't. So fair play to the others, they tried hard, and we'll just have to come back next week and sort out the problems.
So I assume you're going to try and get in as much practice as you can before next week then?
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of meetings coming up, so got a few meetings between now and then, score some points, and you can easily forget about a meeting like this if you have a good one the next day. So hopefully tomorrow I can have a good meeting, and we've all had a bit of practice and we know what to expect next week, so we'll come back and try again.
So let's just hope we beat Cradley then.
Yeah, I hope so.
I've got one question for you. I'd love to know your views on Heat 6.
Which one was that?
That's the one where you got excluded going into the first corner.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? My bike hooked up with his, and I went down, and I thought, turned around and saw a red flag out, so got back up to go around to the tapes, and it wasn't stopped. So if I'd have stayed down, I'd probably been back in it.
Okay, so that was Adam Ellis, obviously not in the best of moods after last night. And he was talking there on the interview about there's a few meetings that he's going to be getting in between now and next week's meeting, and one of those, of course, being the memorial trophy for Billy Sanders tonight. I'll just bring up to date on that. Richie Hawkins has withdrawn, but didn't look too serious because he walked into the ambulance. Lassie Bier's got, I think he's currently the leader with him. Rory Schline's leading at the moment. He's unbeaten. Ben Barker's only had one ride so far. He came last. Danny King's unbeaten with 2 rides. Nico Cavati scored 3 from 2 rides, and current number 1 Adam Ellis has had a 4, an exclusion, and a last place. That's not helping. That's not helping my confidence at all. That isn't. I have to say, not once. Not really. Not really. Hey ho. What's our next interview?
We got Sam Chapman.
Okay. Now Sam was talking about how they were chasing setups last night. So I might have something to say about that afterwards. But let's put the thing on.
So we've got Sam Chapman here, and how's your morale after the poor show tonight?
Gutted, mate. As for a team, it's gutting, but personally, it's worse because I really wanted to come. I wanted to do well. I spent the whole meeting chasing my ass. First race, I changed my bike, then I changed setup, then I changed setup again. Had one race where it worked, where I had a bit of a battle with Nathan Greaves. And that was about it. I went out the next race thinking it would work, and it changed again, so I really have struggled tonight.
So do you think you're going to try changing your setup again, or just get in some more practice?
Yeah, as you've seen, I've just done about 3 sessions after the meeting, trying loads of drastic things. I spent a lot of money getting my engines almost ready for probably knowing that I'm going into Premier League, getting strong engines, but where the track was so slick tonight, it's not worked. But it's not excuses, I need to obviously find something that works here. So go back to the drawing board, see what we can do next week.
And let's hope we beat them then.
Yeah, obviously we're a bit of a deficit now, but I think everyone will be fired up, and it's good that we've had these meetings because the track's been so different today compared to press and practice. So we all had a good setup after press and practice, and obviously after doing our first races today, we realised that we really need to change our bikes. So it's been good to have this meeting. It isn't a league meeting, because if it had been a league meeting tonight, we'd be probably really gutted.
Okay, so yeah, Sam's saying all the right things. I found it very interesting to hear him say that he was chasing setups because the track was different. It's very difficult for me to not say the obvious, really, which was it was the same, exactly the same for Cradley. They were on their press and practice exactly the same time we was, or slightly after it, and so they would have the same problems with the track being different to them. But yeah, I guess that's the experience factor again. But he said all the right things about. He was on the track practicing, trying different setups after. He spent a lot of time on the track afterwards, and he was talking about getting some practice time at different places and so on. So fingers crossed.
Do you feel any more dejected now than you were maybe 24 hours ago?
Do you know what? I don't feel dejected. I actually don't feel dejected. It was so bad it was funny last night in many ways. And
it's just a case of really a Cradley team that, even though it's a young team, has got more experience in it.
Yeah,
Simple as.
It was very obvious to me, because I worked the first bend. That's where we were winning and losing. Well,
yeah.
Sorry, winning. We weren't winning. That's where we was losing things. Was the first bend, and that is an experience thing, particularly for riders like Voitinik and so on, about not getting moved out and all the things that happen on the first bend. And the other thing was that they did seem to, as I say, mostly be gated level, but by the time we got to the first bend, their riders were already in front, and that's more worrying than anything else, actually. Whether that's a setup thing or I don't know. I haven't got the experience. I don't know.
We're gonna quickly cram this one in because time is of the essence.
Wow!
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Where's the time going?
Interview with Ryan Guest last night.
So we're with Ryan here now, the new Birmingham presenter. And how did it feel to have your first proper match presenting to be such a poor show?
Well, all day I was like a kid at Christmas again, to be fair. I woke up all excited, and then as the meeting got closer, the nerves crept in. But not an ideal start from a Birmingham perspective, obviously, but it's important to remember that they're only challenge meetings and that it's a big learning curve for the team tonight. Obviously, I'd have liked to have started off with a Brummies win. I hope I'm not going to be a curse. But a big learning curve for the boys, and yeah, I enjoyed my debut as well.
So do you think you might celebrate at all if we manage to win next match?
Well, if we could win the away match, so-called away match, obviously that would be nice. But again, next week's just a learning one, and the crowd will be a lot more up for it, I think, when their riders are going round, and we'll hear a load more Brummie war cries. Don't worry about that.
I've got a couple of questions. Where did you get that tie?
That tie, well, I searched everywhere for a red and yellow striped tie, because you got to get the fans on your side. So yeah, if you search hard enough online without product placement, then it can be found. I'll tell you later where I got it from.
And are you going to wear a bit more clothes next week, do you think?
Yes, it's been a tough introduction, and I've learnt the harsh lesson of just how cold it is in the centre green at Perry Bar, so definitely a few more layers and thermals for next week.
Okay, so friend of the show is Ryan Guest. He listened in last week. He was telling me and enjoyed it. So I'm hoping he's listening today, and we might have some news on that front.
Maybe a future.
Maybe. You never know. So yeah, well, we're coming to that time of the. I can't believe that's gone so quick.
It has, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
That's gone so quick. Big thank you then to all the riders for their interviews, for signing that T-shirt. Please get as many people as you possibly can to listen to next Thursday's broadcast. We'd really love to get as much money as we can for the Ben Fund via this T-shirt, and it's a bit of history.
Yeah,
it's a bit of history.
I'll make sure all the Cradley fans know about it.
Fantastic. And we'll put a picture on our page of what it looks like, so you can all have a look.
I'll get it ironed because you've creased it all up. I'll get it ironed, and then
don't get rid of the dirt marks. They're proper Speedway dirt marks. Don't get rid of the dirt marks.
We need to say thanks to our guest.
We do, yeah. Thank you very much, Paul. It's been good. It's been good to have a member of the Rent Boys here.
I was waiting for you to come up with that comment.
It got to be said. Got to be done.
Don't get putting the rent up after last night, for God's sake.
I beg your pardon?
Don't get putting the rent up after last night.
We might need to after last night.
Don't beat us one way, you might beat us another.
Well, thanks, Paul. You've been a sport.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And we'll see you all next week, when hopefully we have a bit more cheerful news from the red and yellow front, and we can look forward to the Stoke match as well.
That's right.
So take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay.